Joseline doesn't do good music, okay? And every intro is her music videos. I don't care. I said what I said, but for some reason,
music trash.
For some reason, Tiana doesn't mind this intro.
No,
tell them what you did.
Piss
tell them
me
what
off.
you did.
Don't piss me off. What I said was, this is the only intro. Like, I'm talking about the main intro of the show so far. That one sounds like it's a bop because of the beat, but all her other shit I don't like because it sounds stupid.
I'm gonna play 15 seconds of it.
Dame un poquito, dame lo que quiero. Si eso es mío, yo me lo merezco. Dame un poquito, dámelo papito, dámelo enterito, dame lo que quieras, dámelo.
You bop into it way
because
too
it's
hard.
the beat, it's the beat, it's the beat.
It's the kind of beat that go, it's the kind of beat that go, it's the kind of beat that go, rock, top, top.
Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah.
Welcome back to another episode of the Petty Headquarters. I'm your host, Tiana Luck, and this is
Jessie Strange.
And today we will be giving you our first ever Joseline's Cabaret recap.
Yay.
Season 5, Texas. So yes, with that being said, we are going to be basically reviewing Joseline's Cabaret, giving you our takes on it and whatnot.
By popular demand, by the way. You guys have been asking for it, so we're here to deliver.
Mm-hmm. And off the bat, Joseline's Cabaret is blowing Baddies out the water.
Yeah.
Completely out the water. Like, the show is so much better. It's so much more structured in terms of quote unquote drama. And also there's a purpose to the show. Like, the girls are competing to win $50K, right? And to also go on tour with Joseline's Cabaret.
Right.
There's a story, whether it's made up or not, there is a story here. You know that is the goal, that is the end goal, right? So off the bat, I fell in love with it from episode 1.
I'm dead.
So let's get into episode 1.
Let's get into it. But before we do, I just want to say shout out to y'all. We're still looking for a name. Okay, I know a lot of people have been saying they want to be called the Petty Posse. So let us know if you fuck with that name. Also, to those of you who are new, we are a pop culture podcast.
Yes. Yep. That's what we are.
So welcome to the Petty Headquarters. We cover reality TV,
celebrity drama, Zeus Network, all of that good stuff, trending
sir.
topics. So yeah, that's essentially us, just a pop culture podcast. So tune in, get to know us, whether you like what we say or not. This is who we are. So let's just get into this messy tea of Joseline's Cabaret.
Right. So for those of you who don't know, because there are people who follow us just because of the pop culture part, Joseline's Cabaret is a show about strippers who go on this tour. And Joseline is from Puerto Rico, Ponce, Puerto Rico, who is she is a character, okay? And she is crazy and she is toxic.
Go from 0 to 100 real quick, like the speed of light.
She's wild and also funny. And up until this season has been high off the shits on all types of stuff. So this is the first time we're seeing her sober. And that's just because she had to be sober because of her probation, where she got into a fight. Everybody knows this fight, but for those of you who don't know, she got into a fight at this Mayweather versus some other thing. I don't even know what the show was, but whatever. Anyways.
Yeah, it wasn't a show. They were just at a fight. They were watching the fight.
They were watching a boxing fight.
Right, which was Mayweather versus someone else that was being shown on Zeus pay-per-view or some shit that he was doing, Lemmy was doing at the time. But then she encountered Big Lex, which was on, Big Lex was on season 2 of Joseline's Cabaret. And apparently they have beef, and it was a whole thing. It went viral where she was beating her up, and then it turned out to be a big brawl.
A massive brawl.
Then she was trying to fight the cops, and then she got arrested. And it was this whole thing. Right. And I guess now she's on probation, and now she got to be off the drugs.
Right. So this is what Joseline's Cabaret is about. So, all right. Now that we kind of have the idea, for those of you who didn't know, let's get into season 5,
episode 1
of Joseline's Cabaret.
And the way we're going to be doing this, we're going to be doing 2 episodes. So we're going to be reviewing 2 episodes at a time. It's not going to be 3 or none of that. So this is going to be episodes 1 and 2. We're going to be recapping and reviewing. So let's get into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the season, first of all, let's set it up. We're in Texas, Houston, Texas.
Right.
All right. And Joseline her intro. She always makes music. Okay?
Always has to have an intro about herself, bro.
This intro, Joseline doesn't do good music, okay? And every intro is her music videos. I don't care. I said what I said. But for some reason,
Music trash.
for some reason, Tiana doesn't mind this intro.
No,
Tell them what you did.
Piss
Tell them
me
what you
off.
did.
Don't piss me off. What I said was, this is the only intro. Like, I'm talking about the main intro of the show so far. That one sounds like it's a bop because of the beat. But all her other shit, I don't like because it sounds stupid.
I'm going to play 15 seconds of it.
Do you
it's right
got
there.
it?
Yeah, it's right there.
Oh, my God. You
We're
were
gonna,
so extra.
We're going to play enough so we don't get copyrighted.
Dame un poquito, dame lo que quiero. Si eso es mío, yo me lo merezco. Dame un poquito, dámelo papito, dámelo enterito, dame lo que quieras, dámelo.
You bopping to it way
because
too
it's
hard.
it's the beat. I don't care. I think it's the beat. That's all it is the beat.
This is the first time that I've ever seen Tiana really bop to Joseline. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it is. So don't make it seem like I like all her music, because no, I don't. It's trash.
I want to know what y'all think about this intro. Is it the best intro she's ever had? I don't know.
Some people love La Da Da Ho. La da da ho. So I don't know. Some people like that one. I don't know.
Yeah, I want to know what y'all think. I think this one is the most digestible. Okay, that I must say. And they cut it. They don't let it play out the whole time, which is very nice.
Baddies, take notes with your long ass 2-minute intro. At least Joseline Cabaret got a very, very quick and to the point intro. I think it's like 30, 40 seconds. Like, fucking Baddies got like a 2-minute and 30-second intro. Why do I need to see this whole thing? I don't need to see this whole thing.
And it's boring, Baddies. You see just a bunch of like animated pictures of these girls compared to like a whole music video of Joseline, which I gotta say is quite entertaining. Bad or good, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's entertaining. So we start off the episode with Joseline riding her horse into this beautiful mansion in Houston, Texas. And first of all, I want to say it's a horse, but at least it's not a white horse, okay? So no Illuminati signs on this side so far, okay? I just want to say that. But the house is gorgeous. It is expensive AF.
Yeah, the house is really nice. I will say that.
It's definitely, and I'm sorry to keep referring to Baddies, but these are the 2 top shows of Zeus Network. So it's not like Baddies where they just sometimes stick them in these like, you know,
run down houses like OD. And that's why Joseline made it a point talking about, I don't want these $2 hoes messing up my house. But I mean, I feel her. I be tight too, because it's like, this is why y'all bitches can't have nothing nice. Don't know how to act. So then after that whole horse intro, Joseline and Ballistic, they're talking by the pool. And of course, Joseline decides to do the same thing she always does, is talking about, oh, there's these new girls coming on, fresh, sexy, And, you know, they do plan to host a party for them that same night. So
I do want to say that Joseline mentioned how she was sober and that she took horse riding as her way of coping with her sobriety. And it's funny because before we found out, which we find out in episode 3, but before we found out, I was like, wow, Joseline is sober. I wonder why. And then I remembered and I'm like, she definitely on probation, because nobody unhinged like her willingly goes sober.
For real. So yeah, so that was that whole thing. And then, you know, of course, she does announce that she's bringing Wet Wet back to be the house mom of the girls, which to me is very conflicting. But whatever. Let's get into the rest of it. So then there's a bus that picks up the girls, and they pick up Wet Wet first, and you know, Wet Wet's back. I stay wet, whatever the fuck. And then after that, the bus picks up Raven and Diamond. So Raven and Diamond are back from season 3, I believe. Or season 4. I don't remember. But last season, before season 5, Raven and Diamond were supposed to come back, and Joseline got mad, went from 0 to 100, and kicked them out. And then there's a scene where she literally grabs Raven by the neck and throws her on concrete ground. So I just think it's crazy that Raven's even coming back after this. Yeah. There's literally a scene with Raven on the private jet with Joseline where she sucked her toes too. So I'm not surprised at the same time, because money talks, right?
And I want y'all to understand, Raven is like my height, like 4'11". She's a tiny girl. And Joseline's this big bag bitch. Like, she's huge. She's not fat. I'm talking about she's just big bones. Like, she's tall, she's big bodied, and she got mad muscle. So her getting thrown to the floor was pretty wild.
Very wild.
I never would, like, for me, would never go back to something like that. But you can see, as Raven is someone who will suck her boss's toes in order to stay on the cloud. So I guess, to my surprise, they were both back.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised. honestly, I was surprised for Raven a little bit, you know, especially being thrown like that by the neck. That was like, I know you've endured a lot, but never that. So I was a little shocked. But
and I can see how, as Joseline being the one to be like, I'm sober now, so that's not gonna happen. I was drunk. I was lit off the white snow. You know what I mean? So I feel like that kind of maybe played a part into why these girls came back too. Maybe. I have no idea, but they're back, and you know, the girls are vibing in the van, and of course they then discuss that I guess Andrea and Wet Wet have been having like personal beef or issues online, and then, you know, of course the van is picking up Danny and Andrea, which I like to call thing number 1 and 2, because that is really how they act, yo. It's so funny, and it's astonishing every time I see it, because I'm like, yo, y'all locked in. Yeah, no, for real.
Y'all are really locked in.
To the tiny girls. They're both tiny, skinny.
They don't care.
No butts, no boobies, but they really fight, and they're funny. They're really in sync.
They really are in sync. I love them. But anywho, so they get on the bus, and of course, amidst the whole drama with Wet Wet talking about how Andrea needs to do this and do that and take care of her kid or some shit like that along those lines.
Apparently it was like some online thing, right?
It was online bullshit.
Right.
So then of course we're in the van and Raven decides to bring it up. And one thing about Raven this entire season, she's been instigating every single
She does her job.
thing. She does, which I will say, listen, I'm not mad at it, especially when you already know what Joseline wants. You already know Joseline. You sucked her toes at this point. Yeah. I mean, you've earned your right to do this at this point, the shit you've been through.
And Wet Wet too been doing her thing.
Wet Has been doing her thing.
She's doing a good job at being a character.
No, she is. I mean, she stay wet.
She's funny. Why you say Yo, what? Nah, hell, stop saying that.
Why? That's her
she
thing.
Stay wet.
She said, I'm wet, and I stay wet.
Oh, hell.
With Paris and Hilton, her two boobies. Paris and Hilton.
Yes. Okay. Wet is a character. She's the type of woman that gets her boobs fixed before her teeth.
Yup. And that's the shit that pissed me off about her. Cause it's like, you really got these big brolic ass busty hard rock titties on your chest and you ain't got your teeth done.
Yeah. She look a little dusty.
No, a lot. Like, but no, let's be for real.
Funny, bro.
No, she is. I'll give her that. Her little swing around the pole when she beat up T-Love. Yeah. That shit was funny. I don't care. That was great. Because why did you swing around the pole like that?
Like, in the best stripper form, span around the pole and drop kick fucking T-Love.
Bro. I couldn't believe she did that. I was like, oh, okay. Like, this is what we're doing. But whatever. With that being said, that is Wet, and Wet is now house mom. How do you feel about her being house mom?
I think it's a great choice. Because she's annoying. She's funny. And honestly, not for nothing, it looks like Wet really don't got nothing to lose. Like, she's willing. She's got that character in her to, like, you know, do. Joseline likes particular type of women. And it's women that will do anything to be on the show because that's all, that's kind of their money maker, right? And they listen.
Right.
Wet, listen. She has no ego. She'll, like, sit there and say what she says because she's obviously maybe drunk or maybe feeling emotional. But guess what? She comes back to apologize every single time.
I guess. I feel like with her being house mom, it's weird because she don't dance and she don't know how to dance. I feel like someone that should be titled house mom should really be that bitch that knows how to dance, that's really been dealing with Joseline and really can put these girls into shape. I feel like with Wet, it's very easy for these girls to overpower her. You need a bitch that you're not going to overpower to be house mom.
But that's the content right there, right? Because you're going to put someone who can't keep control. First of all, why would you want your good dancer to be a house mom when even Joseline said it? Wet is not competing for the 50K. So it's like, you really have nothing to lose there. Wet doesn't contribute to your dancers. And if you're a dancer, she wants you to 100% contribute to being a dancer, not a house mom. I feel like Wet's the perfect character because not only is she kind of easy to step on, so it's going to be that conflict of trying to gain respect, but nobody respecting you. So of course, and then also like, she can't dance. So it's like, it's going to piss people off. I think it's done on purpose. I really do. And it's great. Whatever producing storytelling they got, I think it's a great choice.
So, of course, in the midst of the van, Andrea and Wet Wet, they argue, of course, over online beef. Danny jumps in, and then it's a whole thing. They're arguing. It doesn't lead to an altercation. We're breezing through this because we get it. After that, we do see a sit down or a conversation between Joseline and Erica Mena.
Right. So we get introduced to Erica Mena, and Erica Mena, what I know her for, because again, I haven't really been into reality TV as much as long as you have.
Yeah.
So I didn't know who she was up until that controversial thing online where Love and Hip Hop, was it?
Yeah, where she called Spice a monkey.
Right. And y'all already know how I feel about shit like that. So when I saw her, I was like, of course Zeus is going to get like the hand-me-downs of all these reality TV stars, because of course she got kicked off of Love and Hip Hop, and leave it up to Lemmy to bring this girl to here, but whatever. So
and she's getting her own show on Zeus, by the way.
Oh yeah,
where they're looking for love with Erica Mena. So we'll see how that looks. And something else had come out about her apparently abusing one of the contestants on the show. So we will see how that goes when the show comes out. So.
Yes, we that's exactly right. So yeah, so she's here and she's helping Joseline host a party for these new girls coming in to the house.
Right. So that is essentially what the sit down between Joseline and Erica was about. Erica's in charge of hosting. Joseline brought her back because they had worked together on Love and Hip Hop before as well. So with that being said, it's this whole scene with them two talking, and then Joseline talking about her confessional that she would fuck Erica if it wasn't for her husband. Yeah. I was like, what is going on? I was so confused. I was like, oh my God.
No, for sure. For sure. You saw some tension there.
OD. I was like, oh my God. But yeah, so that was that. And Erica talk about she ain't had pussy in a while. I was like, you know what? Conversation.
It's very interesting.
It's conversation. So that is pretty much it. And then, then we get into the party.
Well, yeah, we get introduced to some of the girls.
As they're setting up for the party.
Right. Exactly. And you know what? They did a good job at diversifying.
I agree.
One thing's for sure is that Joseline has not been shy, even last season, to diversify her group of people.
She brought a trans girl on,
right? And this time we get introduced to the BBW.
That's correct.
Someone who represents BBW, which is short.
I forgot her name.
I don't know her name. She was very She was very forgettable.
Which is why she got kicked off. But that's on episode 3,
right?
Which we won't cover right now. But damn, we gotta look up her name. All right. So one thing that I forgot to talk about, which I know we kind of forgot about this part with Joseline and Erica Mena when they had their little one-on-one. Why was these bitch taking their tits out and rubbing them together, bro? I was like, okay, this is the type of time we're on. Okay, I know you like that. That.
What the fuck?
I just threw her under the bus.
No, you like that. What the hell? I didn't say anything.
Okay, moving on.
We get introduced to the girls. You got Showgirl Neek. You got Erica, Lexi Gold, Queen Envy, Kay, Jayla, Isis, Chinks, Dez, and the big girl that we were
talking shit about earlier.
Yeah.
Low key. I wasn't really talking shit. Not yet. I saved my shit.
Spicy Moni, but aka Spicy
Monica. Which we didn't even fucking remember her name.
I didn't even know her name.
We had to really look back and see. I'm like, I never heard them call you by your name yet on this show.
And she was just,
Anywho, so we get introduced to a handful of the girls, not all of them, but we do. It seems like they introduced us to some of the key girls that will end up staying or leaving or whatever the case may be. So then we go into the setup of the party.
Of the pool party.
The pool party, everything's set up. They have dancers. They have all these girls coming in, and it's a vibe. As the girls are around the table, Erica Mena decides to come out and talk about, why you girls want to be here. You know what you guys got to do. You got to fight for your spot. How you going to prove you the best? In the midst of that conversation between the girls, of course, talking about nobody going to take my spot. Des walks up to Erica Mena, talking about some, hey, look at her up and down. It was so weird. Where clearly you guys have history with each other. It was very evident. Then fucking Erica Mena look at her up and down too, and then they hug each other for dumb long. I was like, you already know what's going on.
Something
clock
was
it. Something's
very
going
sus
on.
about that energy there. It was very
it
unspoken.
Wasn't sus. It was like y'all fucked before.
Right.
Like,
That's what I'm saying. It was
for
like
sure.
they're trying to keep it professional.
Trying to keep it cute, but you're not low.
Right.
Like you're mad hot and spicy right now on the show for no reason. Like there's no reason why we're seeing hot and spicy chemistry like OD right now. I was like, okay, clearly. And then she goes into her confessional talking about me and Erica have known each other for a while, for years. I'm like, okay. I don't know who Erica is to you. I don't know. What do you think? Erica's her sugar mama?
I don't know. They must have had a good time. Clearly, Erica like girls, so
clearly, I mean, but she ain't had it in a while, so I'm pretty sure her and Des probably hooked up that night.
Well, I wouldn't know. But
I mean, anywho. In the midst of the party going on, everybody's having a grand old time. Like I said, Joseline does get introduced. Erica Mena does her whole little thing where she's like, introducing the Puerto Rican princess, Joseline Hernandez. And, you know, the girls are cheering, hey. You know, Joseline says her little speech. Then after that, she's like asking the girls to dance. The girls are dancing. But then in the midst of that, Raven does bring it to Joseline's attention that there was some beef between Wet Wet and Andrea. So, of course, Joseline's like, why y'all beefing? What's going on? Her tall ass. I just want to add that I love Joseline's look at the party. That shit was fire.
She did look very
amazing.
Yeah.
With that being said, Joseline says, why y'all beefing? So then in the midst of Wet talking, she said, I didn't talk about her kid. I said she's more of a mom to her voodoo doll. And she couldn't even finish her sentence because Andrea pops her in the middle of her saying her little speech. Then there's like a whole fight. Wigs is flying. Dresses are flying. And then Wet fighting back, and then security breaks it up. And in the midst of Wet just trying to catch her own breath, Danny also sneaks her after that. And then it's just a whole big fucking brawl at this gorgeous party. Yeah. And I was just like, wow, this is crazy. This is great. Because like, look, we have a storyline. You know why the girls are here. You know what the end result is, the end goal. You had a party to welcome them, right? Party looked gorgeous. It was like a masquerade ball vibe. It was cute. With the little dancers in the air. I was like, I like this. And then the fight breaks out at the party. Classic. Yeah. Why wouldn't it break out at the party?
And you know, I do want to point out that the Andrea that we see this season is a lot different than the one we saw last season. Like, she was a lot more timid, a lot more.
Yeah, for sure. But she still had that voodoo doll, though.
Right. So Andrea is known for and got picked on last season for having that voodoo doll.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a very smart move because it made her stick out. It made her almost like pickable, you know? And that gave her camera time. She came back, and this time she's definitely a lot more aggressive, stands on her, stands on business a lot more, which I thought was pretty cool because I remember last season, it was like, bitch, like, stand up for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you soft. Right. So it's really incredible to see kind of like the character development in this season, which goes back to, again, the character development, right? That's what we like seeing in these shows. And a lot of the times where Baddies, sorry to keep bringing it up, Baddies lacks is the character development. Yeah. Right?
That's for sure.
For sure. So, or if it is character development, it's almost like this too good for Hollywood type vibe. And it's ugly. You know, these girls, they know they place. They know that Joseline can get rid of them within a snap of a finger. They always say it. They're like, you know, that's my boss. And they keep that respect. So it's very, very interesting to see the character development.
Yeah.
There.
Love it. I love Andrea.
She loves Andrea.
Well, I've always liked Andrea since the last season. Yeah. But I feel like, so I already knew that she had this in her, but you know, she was shy and now she's not. So I'm happy.
I want to talk about it though, because it's funny how in Baddies, everybody complains about the jumping, but I didn't notice any backlash for the twins. I like to call them twins, but Danny and Andrea.
Think one and think two.
Yeah, Danny jumped in when she didn't have to, and it's fucked up because Wet is also tiny. He's also
Danny
skinny.
Jumped in after her fight was done with Andrea.
Yeah, but I feel like Danny
she snuck her. She snuck her.
She jumps in a lot.
She
and it's kind of unfair, which is why Isis calls it out with, you know, in later episodes.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, it seems a little unfair. I don't care if you're tiny or not. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if your friend's gonna jump, let her jump. Like, I don't think it's cool to be doing that whole tag team shit.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They said, let me teach you something. Let me teach you something. I'm sorry. When they did that on cue,
That was funny.
I was like, and that's episode 3, y'all. We getting ahead of ourselves.
We keep
getting
doing
ahead
this.
of ourselves.
Sorry.
But that shit was so funny. I was like, not y'all using Tasiki shit, bro. All cute. They did not care. They did that shit at the same time. I'm like, nah, I fuck with y'all. Y'all are funny. So I think that is where
episode 1 ends. Almost,
right. But we do see that there's like a whole thing. Before it ends, we do see like, you know, as Andrea is like naked at this point after fighting and her wig is off and everything, Isis has her wig. But Isis makes a comment that her wig stunk. So
she did.
She really did. And then I guess expected it to be all like peaches and roses, like peaches and cream. And Drea was just like, okay, who gives a fuck? Like, what the fuck? You know, like, why did you even have to say that? Obviously, like, I was sweating. Like, we're in this atmosphere. Like, what the fuck? So, yeah, that was a whole thing. And then Isis starts bucking up, talking about, I could do this, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm just like...
Yeah, what'd you think about that?
I didn't really like that.
You didn't?
Because I feel like, I thought it was funny with the wig stinking. But, like, she just kept doing the most, as we will explain in episode 2, like, how I felt like she just did the most. Before that happens, obviously, Andrea and Isis don't end up fighting. Mm-hmm. They don't end up fighting. Andrea walks away after Isis does this whole thing. But then we go into Chinks and Lexi Gold. They have their beef. So that's when Jocelyn's like, anyone got any more beef? They want to let it out.
And Chinks came out of nowhere.
And was like, so, like, what's up? Like, what you want to do? Lexi Go, you could tell she wasn't trying to fight. Mm-hmm. And apparently this beef was over them having the same pimp.
Yeah, which is... I really want to take a step back and think about that for a second. Like, these girls really be coming from some crazy lives, y'all.
No, for real.
Because to think about y'all fighting over somebody who's pimping y'all out, and and he went online and was like boasting about it, being proud to be the pimp. Like, I seen his Instagram, and it's crazy. Yeah, it's really ugly.
Oh,
and it's crazy to think like he's like, fuck with me, and y'all gonna get famous.
Ew.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. And I was looking at his page and looking at all the, you know how these flexers on Instagram do, and I'm just like, it's so fucking ugly to see people who really act like they really work hard for their money, but really pimping is another type of scam at the end of the day. You're taking vulnerable women and you're using them for your advantage, because at the end of the day, pimping is not like something to be proud of. You know what I'm saying? So sitting there flexing your Instagram money is so ugly to me. And it's so out of touch. And it's unfortunate that these girls, mostly Chinks, I'm looking at her sideways, because it's either you're doing it for camera time or you're doing it for real. But apparently they did this offline way before the show.
Yeah.
So it can't be for camera time. I mean, it's real life shit. So it's crazy to think that y'all bitches is so fucking fucked up in the head that y'all really fighting over a guy who's pimping y'all out, bro. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
I don't care how much money you making, yo. Ain't no worth nothing like that. I don't care.
Yeah, I agree. And that actually does follow us into the second episode, because obviously everything ends with wet Danny and Andrea in the first episode, and then it continues over into Isis and Andrea, and then Chinks and Lexi Gold in the second episode. Everything just flowed so well like water into the second episode.
Yeah.
So that whole situation was crazy. All I could say is Chinks got them hands, because she was throwing them blows at that party. I was like, yeah.
Isn't it?
I was like so shocked.
Isn't it so funny how, like, I feel like covering Joseline, we're laughing so much.
Yo, it's funny.
But when we cover Baddies, it's like,
so boring.
I'm so sick of it. Look at this bitch. Look at that bitch.
So fucking boring and draining. Like, when I'm watching Joseline, I be cracking the fuck up over everything that be going on. Even Joseline talk about, yeah, because my pussy's so fat, I don't need to cook in the kitchen. Why would you say that? Why would you?
I don't know where. I don't know. Literally nobody. Like, why?
With the most straight face.
No, for real. Literally. No, she means that shit. Like, she not trying to be funny.
I'm sorry.
I want to let y'all in a little secret, because when we be watching these shows, it's almost like homework, because we take notes. And I'll tell you something. When we watch Baddies, we take notes.
That ass.
We try to take notes for Joseline's
Couldn't even
Cabaret.
do it. Couldn't even do it.
Too entertained to take notes.
It's too funny, yo. Like, I'm like, I can't even look at my phone and take notes. That's how you know the show is mad good. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Baddies, come on, I be walking away. I'm going to the bathroom. Like, I don't care.
I fell asleep at the auditions.
You did. I hated the auditions. And honestly, guys, I don't think we're going to cover
We're
it
not.
because it's trash.
I don't care, guys.
There's nothing to cover.
We have so many of y'all really wanting us to cover it, but to be honest, we did the auditions last year and that was enough. I tried to watch the 2 episodes for this season, and I'm not with it, y'all. I don't know. Look, respect to people who like it, but like, I don't know how y'all digest that, because at the end of the day, there is nothing but fighting, and it's like, it gets sickening, you know?
Yeah.
Our friend talks about, you know, somebody she's dating, and his whole friend group and his family, they go online on Facebook and they watch people fight. Like, apparently it's a thing where, like, you know, they watch people fight. And it's funny because my friend went online recently and was like complaining, no names, but my friend was complaining about how a bunch of people be going online and be watching people fight, and people take their last breaths and be recording it, and they're okay with it. So there is a culture online where y'all like to watch shit like that. And listen, by all means, if that's entertaining to you, but that's cool. But it's a little too dark sometimes, especially when there's no storyline and you just see these people desperate for a chance at money or a shot at
baddie
fame.
chain.
Right. That, like, it, to me, it's just too dark. So that is our recap. Y'all got the recap here, and we're gonna leave it at that. We do not want to cover the auditions.
It's a dub. The auditions, what the fuck are we gonna cover it for? Like, we rather cover the show when there's something to cover. The auditions is nothing to cover. It is something, I guess, to watch. It's just fluff content.
Just fluff content.
It's fluff content. There's nothing to cover. There's nothing to give your feedback or opinion on.
For sure.
All right. So moving on to the next thing that happens in Joseline's Cabaret. This is episode 2. They get the beautiful house, which is something that we discussed before. Joseline talking about her pussy too fat to clean the kitchen or whatever the case is. And she is talking to Ballistic about the girls and the girls they're on their way to the house. Mm-hmm. And so we go to the van. All these girls are in here. And Wet decides to bring up the issue that happened last night at the party with Isis and Andrea. Mm-hmm. So she brings it up to clear the air about it. But of course, that opens a can of fucking beans and worms. And with that being said, you know, Isis and Andrea, they end up going back and forth. Mm-hmm. Isis gets up like she wants to fight. Andrea, with her voodoo doll in her arm, clearly wasn't trying to fight or do anything, but she's ready for whatever. Mm-hmm. So Isis gets up, and then everybody starts moving out the way. They fight. It's explosive. They fight twice. The first round they fight, it's explosive. Security breaks them up. Then the second time they fight, it's also explosive, and Andrea puts Isis in a headlock. And it's just crazy. It's just like this whole crazy thing. All the girls are moving out the way. Then there's more arguments happening. Danny and Isis end up arguing as well because, of course, Andrea's her girl. Right. They start fighting. Yeah. Then Andrea jumps in. Then Jayla decides to fight Andrea for jumping in. Are you with me, people? Are you with me? All right, stay with me. That ends up happening. And then some other girl, I don't remember her name, but she got blonde hair. She tries to jump in too because Jayla was doing some shit. Security breaks this whole thing up, and it just ends up being a crazy explosive fight. Mm-hmm. After it seems like things are settled, Oceans decides to pick her ones with Neek. Showgirl Neek talking about, I ain't like how you was speaking when Joseline was talking. You disrespected Joseline. Now, Oceans is interesting because she knows, after from seeing the show, she knows what to do to play her part. Mm-hmm. And it's evident that she knows that she needs to be basically like thing 1 and thing 2 to stay in the house, to go on tour, to be a part of the cabaret. Yeah, it's true. And to put other bitches in the place because that's what you have to be like that. And it seems like she clearly has a very well understanding of that, and she's doing that.
Yeah. What do you think about her?
I don't like her that much, but at the same time, I can't knock her for playing the game. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can hate the player. What they say? Hate the player, don't hate the game? Hate the game, don't hate the player. There you go. That's what it is. So yeah, with that being said, she decides to confront Neek. Mm-hmm. And Neek is like, what the fuck? And then Ocean's like, do you want to fight? Do you want to fight? And honestly, Neek bust her head in. I don't give a fuck what y'all say. Neek was tearing her ass up. Just because Oceans is big, that don't mean shit. If you go back and rewatch that fight, that first fight, because Neek really didn't want to fight, but she was like, whatever. She was like, mink, 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 mink. Ocean was just trying to use her weight, but you was getting a clock in your head. So anywho, with that being said, Oceans and Neek, they had their little ones, and I think they went again too. Then I think Oceans and Jayla, they fought too. I don't even know why.
Yeah, this whole
thing on the bus was ridiculous. And then I love how in between these fights, they would switch back to Joseline and Ballistic in the house, playing some classical ass music, and then switch back to the fights on the bus, playing some crazy. I was like, yo, this is what makes the show funny.
Yeah, it is. It's very
this
funny.
is what's making the show really funny right now. Baddies, take notes. Take notes. But yeah, that whole thing happens. And I think that's pretty much all the fights that happen. I know I did briefly mention Oceans and Jayla, but whatever. Oceans also beat her ass, which is crazy, but whatever. Then we get to the house. The girls are introduced. Wet. Wet get kicked out the moment she stepped in the damn house, yo. She came in, yeah. Wet, step outside. Step outside.
No, for real.
Immediately. Her ass got set outside like a dog, bro.
Having too much fun.
Too much fun in front of Joseline's presence.
Right.
She was like, wet, step outside. Yo. I started dying immediately.
Yeah, that shit was funny.
Because she just walked in.
She was really treating her like the house dog, yo.
She was.
Like a bad dog, go
yes,
outside.
Yes. That's what it gave. She came in, yeah. Wet. Step outside. You doing too much. Shut the fuck up when I'm talking.
Yo, for real.
Bro, oh my God, that was so funny.
And then while she's outside, she's doing all these theatrics.
Yeah, she's doing
twerking, showing her
and
ass.
they're in like, a gated community, it looks like.
Yeah.
And the girls are inside. They're listening to Joseline talk. And then at some point, Oceans decided to say, yeah, I had a tussle with, Neek because she wouldn't shut up when you were talking. And I just didn't like that. Of course, she had to let the Puerto Rican princess know because, she's here to be a cabaret
and
girl.
Joseline ate it up.
Of course she did. Of course she did. And that's all a part of Ocean's plan. She knows what she's doing and her strategy. So with that being said,
I can't even hate on Oceans, yo.
I know. It's like, I don't want to hate on her either. But then part of me is like, ugh. But then I'm like, ugh, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
I mean, I don't know. She's playing the game right.
She's playing the game for sure.
She's one of the few people that I remember. The hardest part about, Joseline's Cabaret is these girls are really nobodies like online, so it's hard to remember all of them.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, Oceans is one of the few girls that I actually remember the name to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could put a face to her.
Yeah,
so sure. She's doing her job as an entertainer.
I mean, I guess so, but
and so is Wet.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, with that being said, whatever. Wet is there gyrating and doing all types of stuff, which eventually causes the cops to be called to the house.
It's so funny.
Joseline ran to the back of the house so quick. She said, the cops outside. I'm not going outside.
I'm not going outside. She can't be there.
Right.
Yo, Joseline was out, bro.
She was out so quick.
And no, but the funniest part was she was like at some point looking out the window from the door and was like, look at her. Look at her. Really just laughing at this girl, yo. Like, no, look at her. Look at her. She fucking crazy, yo.
For real. And this girl is doing all types of shit with her
screaming.
Pussy was out.
Yeah,
she had no underwear on. Her pussy was out. Her legs in the air.
And she has green wig on.
Green wig and a bright neon green dress.
Oh my God. And then Joseline calling her a leprechaun had me crying, yo.
She called her dragon breath.
Bro, like clowning on this girl.
Like, what is going on truly?
And it's so crazy because like at some point, because the wet was going on for so long that you could tell before we even saw the police scene that she was clearly drunk and going through something.
Yeah.
She
starts crying when talking to the cops, when the cops showed up.
Yo.
I was like, wow, that's how you know she was really causing a scene. One of the neighbors called the cops.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, we don't deal with this around here. This hood booger shit.
Yeah. And then you wearing this bright ass green ass wig and this bright ass green ass dress.
Yeah, but she starts crying in the cop car, which, not gonna lie, as sad as it was, I was dying because it was so
cracking up too. I was like, why the fuck are you crying? Like, and why are you crying to the cops at that? Like, what is going on?
The ops,
for real.
But clearly Wet Wet was going through something, which, I mean, we don't even find out much.
Yeah, we don't.
But cops came, and I guess that whole scene is deaded, right? Like, yeah, we don't see much after that.
Doesn't she come back in? Joseline does allow her to come back in the house.
That was like episode 3. She does.
Is it?
Yeah. So back in the house, though, while that whole shit is going on outside, Joseline talks to the girls. They recap the party, and she picks on Monica, the big girl, and tells her that, you weren't doing much at the party. You were very like quiet. And then Monica was like, I was twerking.
But she also mentioned that, she felt like she was catfished by her because she saw her, how she was online, and now she's seeing her in person. It's not really giving the same energy.
Right. Because Joseline believes that she picked her to represent big girls, big girls in strip clubs. So she wasn't really representing that. And to be honest with you, she's absolutely right. Like, this girl, I can see how she's catfish.
100%.
Because you could just see her body language. Like, I get not dressing too much, showing too much skin is one thing, but you don't have to show skin to have that sexual energy to you. Yeah. And she was just very timid.
Very conservative.
Which is fine, but why are you at Joseline's Cabaret?
Right.
Why did you audition, and why are you here?
She wanted that money. That's literally all it was.
It's so ugly, though, because I feel like she was pissing me off the entire time. Like,
she was pissing me off, too.
Her body language and everything, it was just kind of like, bitch, why are you here then? Like, you're acting like you didn't know what show you was going on.
Right. Like, she was so shocked. Like, she was shocked at everything. And honestly, that's why I believe maybe she didn't know what show she was going on. Maybe she just saw an opportunity to be on TV and get money, and she thought she could do that. But, honey, these are strippers coming on to get money. Like, 9 times out of 10 is strippers, is porn stars, is all types of dancers. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if that's the case, you need to show skin. You do. Like, how else are you going to be in a cabaret and perform with Joseline? I'm so confused.
True. It's true. Yeah, I couldn't stand her. I'm not going to lie.
I couldn't stand her either.
And it has to do everything with her personality.
Everything.
I don't want to hear shit, y'all, because there was this scene in episode 3 where there was this big girl dancing, and it's just like,
in the pool, bigger than fucking Monica dancing in the pool,
right? Like, why is this girl showing more action than you?
Right. But you know what? Everybody's different. You're conservative. You shouldn't be there. End of discussion. Period. So we did jump around a little bit with episode 2 and episode 3, but you guys get the point if you watched it. At some point, she does bring the girls into a circle, and she starts talking to them. Raven and Diamond, they laughing and having too much fun. So Joseline said, "You go stand over there. Go stand over there." When that teacher separates you from your best friend in class, that's what it was giving. It was giving that for sure. So I started cracking up at that. Then, she's inviting the girls to this other pool party that she's hosting. And in the midst of that, I guess Chinks, they decide, no fighting at the pool party. Whatever issues you have, get it out now. Yeah. That's when Chinks and Lexi Gold, I keep forgetting her name, they decide to fight it out again. And that is essentially where the episode leaves off.
Mm-hmm. And that's it, y'all. So, I mean, what do you think so far? I love this season so far.
This season is funny as hell.
It's hilarious. It's actually kind of refreshing to see Joseline sober, because I know last season she pissed me off a lot of the times. Like, she was a little too rough and a little too hard to digest.
For sure.
This one is, she's like, it's giving a little bit lighter, but it's still funny. She's funny as hell. I think it really shows that, these girls respect Joseline a lot. Mm-hmm. And, I don't know. And Joseline's just funny. Like, she's just funny.
Hella funny. So the next episode after that already came out, which we already saw, but it goes in and it continues and it shows us the aftermath of Chinks and Lexi Gold, and it brings us to the pool party. And then we see a little bit more of a situation that happens on the bus between Raven and Monica, because Raven's telling her to be more open and she doesn't want to be. But that is for next week's episode. So with that being said, this was our whole little recap of Joseline's Cabaret season 5 episode 1 and 2. Hope you guys enjoyed this.
Yeah.
So where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram. That's JESSI.strange. And where can they find you, Tiana?
You guys can find me on Instagram at randommania1. You can find us on Instagram at the Petty Headquarters. We release episodes every Tuesday at 4. Okay. And on YouTube, the Petty Headquarters. It is very simple. We are on Apple, Spotify, all of those podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon, wherever you listen to your podcast on. So definitely tune into the podcast if you guys are doing something, whatever the case is, showering, cooking, cleaning, I don't care. Tune into the podcast. I know you guys love the YouTube version as well, but tune into the podcast if you're on a long drive or whatever the case is. So with that being said, this was your weekly dose of mess.